Satnam. I'm Lillian Savoy. This is Awake and Change podcast, where we are bridging the spiritual with the human experience. So I don't know about you, but I did not sleep well last night. And I've been testing this new pattern of going to sleep when I'm very much awake. Okay, not reading a book, not watching a show. Now, I did finish this amazing rom-com last night. I think it's called No Sleep Till Christmas. It was so cute, but I was still wide awake. So put myself to bed. Everybody's in bed. And now I sleep with a pillow between my legs. I'm hugging a pillow. I'm hugging a warm body. And now I have a pillow over my face, over my eyes, so I don't get tempted to just look around. I really want to look inward into my soul, go into my third eye, into the center of the head. And then I ask myself, all right, well, where do I want to go tonight? What kind of realm do I want to travel to? Because if you're anything like me, sometimes the human experience gets a little too tight, claustrophobic, and it's such a great life. There's so much energy going on. There's so many exchanges with different humans and spirits and Mother Nature that sometimes it gets overwhelming. I'm like, okay, I just want to go to another realm. So I set my intention. If you're the type of person that doesn't like to astral-travel or haven't tried it yet, then I like to call on Archangel Michael for protection, because you never really know where you're going to go in other realms. And unless your intention is very clear. So I've been traveling to my past lives to try and get an idea of who I was in a past life and how is this affecting me now in this life, and what decisions can I make in this life to help me help you, right? Because our purpose as humans in this life is to help and serve others. So if we don't really know ourselves, how can we help and serve others? So getting to know ourselves on very different levels is the key. So that's kind of what we're going to dive into. So the first level, let's dive into what I'm doing every day, and you're probably doing some of this every day, but taking care of our human body. So let's dive into that physical realm first, okay? And you can tell me what your routine is, and I'll tell you what my routine is. And any book that I read about myself says I hate routine, which is true, except I have kind of a general routine that my spirit guides me in. And so are you listening? The first thing is, are you listening to your spirit? Are you doing what your spirit wants you to do? Okay, so when I wake up, I'm cooking breakfast or waking up the child or getting ready for school, right? And then I ask my spirit what it wants to do first. Does it want to meditate first? Does it want to work out first? Does it want to walk the dogs first? So those three are kind of what I alternate in the beginning, in the morning, before I do anything. Meditate, walk the dogs, work out. So those three things keep me centered and grounded in the day. So ask yourself, are you doing anything that grounds you in the morning to the frequency of the cosmos? That's your meditation. And to the frequency of Mother Earth, that's the walking the dogs for me. And to the frequency of what your body needs, that's the working out. So what our goal into getting to know ourselves and what our frequency is, what our vibe is to connect with that frequency. And we don't know what that is until we keep practicing it over and over and over again. It's just kind of strengthening a muscle, building your intuition, really tapping into yourself to know what you want, how do you want to feel good? How do you want to go to the next level of frequency? So you snap out of that humanness of being tired, needing coffee, all the reasons why our mind gives us, okay, we're going to need a nap later. We're going to need this. We're going to need coffee. We're going to need that. And it's like, no, we just want to wake up and turn off our mind first by meditation, connection to Mother Earth, and a connection to ourselves. So tap in right now for a minute and just ask yourself, what are you doing in the morning to find your frequency, to find your health frequency? That is the key, right? And now the next one I'm doing is, I go into, all right, how can I work for me instead of for other people before clients show up, or before you have to do a coaching session, or before you move into what can you do for somebody else? What can you do for your business, yourself? So one of my big things is intentions. I'm always adjusting or tweaking intentions. I have intentions written here. I have intentions printed out here. I have intentions in my notebook. Intentions for me are always changing. So ask yourself, have you written your intentions lately? And if it's been a while, have you revisited your intentions? And are they still working for you? So this past weekend, I spent all weekend meditating with Matab and Guru Karam, and we did the 21 stages of meditation. And this weekend were 7 of the stages. So it's 3 different weekends, 7 stages in each weekend. So I got to do this weekend from 11 to 6, Saturday and Sunday. Now, I don't know about you, but I can live meditating. I love how high it makes me. I don't have to smoke pot. I don't have to drink alcohol. I don't have to do any kind of drug. I literally just can meditate. And I love that because at this stage in the game, my body is not liking any alternative substance. I can have about a glass of bubbly champagne and that's about it. If I go for the second glass, forget it. A headache, I have a stomach ache, I'm not sleeping well. And I don't know, once you just stop drinking, you can't drink anymore. So because your frequency and your tuner is different. And I used to be a stoner in my 20s for sure. But I think I was number one, I had a smoking habit, like actual cigarette smoking habit that actually started from having ADD and getting diagnosed. And then they put you on Adderall or whatever drug they put you on these days. And so that catapulted me into a pack a day smoker, which was disgusting. And I would chain smoke, and study. And I went from making, B's, C's, and D's to A's and B's. So it does work to take speed and study, except it's terribly bad for you. And it's basically legal cocaine. And I just don't understand how or why we even have that on the market anymore. And there was so many other things that I could have been taught back in the day, but instead I had an Adderall for 2 years. I got a smoking addiction that lasted for 20 plus years, solidified that with a pot smoking habit. So needless to say, when I did my heavy metal test, I was riddled with cadmium and lead and all of the toxic poisons that they put in the cigarettes these days. So I've spent the last probably 5 years doing chelation and supplementation and really cleaning up my whole life. I did quit smoking. It's been 11 years. So I quit smoking 11 years ago. And, so I've been cleaning up the heavy metals. Well, I just did my new hair test, which now I offer as a health coach, which is so freaking cool. So it tests you for all the heavy metals. You give me a piece of your hair and I send it into the lab and they melt it down and they tell you what heavy metals, toxic heavy metals are in your body. And then they tell you what type of metabolism you are and what foods to eat and what foods to avoid. Then they also do a toxic versus non-toxic ratios of minerals in our body, because this is just so interesting. I went after taking the hair sample test and mailing it in. I looked at it, and everything I was taking as a supplement, vitamin D, because you're told to take vitamin D, right? For our hormones for women, and because we're not getting enough sun, because we're going into winter season, and vitamin B12, because I have the MTHFR gene. So I better take a complex B, methylated B. In my report, it said that I had toxic levels of D. I should not be taking B12 at all. And the good news is from the report is that all my heavy metals have been gone, except I have a tiny little bit of mercury, and it's not even in the range. So the other cool thing is I am a slow metabolizer. I could have told you that, because I always have to be working out to stay fit and meditating and relaxing and resting. I know that sounds weird, but the slow metabolizer, we have bursts of energy, right? So when we burst, we're supposed to like really use that energy, and then we're not, right? And then we rest and relax. But my daughter ended up being a fast metabolizer. So of course I've done the hair sample now for the whole family. I'm waiting for the other results, but I've had some clients pour in from the hair samples, and I had another client say she was eating the exact opposite foods than what her chart said. And so I love it because they give you a doctor's report, a patient report, and they tell you every little detail. And then they give you the supplements to order to balance out the body, which are not very expensive at all. So I love that, because I feel like all my supplements these days, it's like one thing is $80. So it's kind of disheartening now to like be in the supplement world, because they're, the FDA wants a piece of the pie. And so what they're doing is they're just jacking up all these prices, because it takes millions and millions and millions for these supplements to go through the FDA. So then by the time they pay for them, if they're not backed by Big Pharma, then they come out on the market and they're so expensive for us, and they don't have to be. Anyway, that's the end of my soapbox for that one. Okay, so back to the hair tissue analysis. That's one of the things I do to stay healthy throughout the long term. Okay, so I'm doing my little morning routine. So ask yourself, are you doing your little morning routine, and what is it doing to keep you healthy throughout the day? And then what are you doing on the other front, right? So I'm doing the hair analysis. I do the brain hub, which we'll talk about. And I've gotten in my 11 minutes of meditation already in the morning, so I don't have to do it in the afternoon. Then I'm working on my intentions. Okay, so that's where we left off. Intentions. So this weekend, Matab he's such an amazing teacher. Y'all can find Matab online, yogimatab.com, and you can mention my name and you'll get a discount on any classes that he has. And he also does private astrology readings, which are phenomenal. He is a Vedic astrologer, so it's a little bit different than what you'll read from the astrology, from the American astrology. So let me just read you a few of the intentions that he put on our plate this weekend for us to think about. It was just so exciting. Okay, so I'm going to put my little glasses on. Everything is possible. Everything is reachable. Everything is already fulfilled. Okay, I love those, because in my past life, I was a builder, a master builder, and a materialist. So I wanted to collect things and own lots of things and build lots of things. And so in this lifetime, though, my calling is to own nothing, build nothing, and to really just serve serve other people and not really be a collector. So I'm always striving and doing. And I know you can relate to that, right? Because it's part of the human existence of like striving and doing and owning and buying. But if you check out this book, Astrology for the Soul by Jan Spiller, it tells you what your north node is, and then your north node is your purpose in this lifetime. So if you go and read back, you can order her reports online. She doesn't know me. You won't get a discount, but it is very cheap. It's only $14.95 for your North Node report. Or you can buy the whole book and read about the whole family, which is what I did, and do it for clients. And I think it's just so interesting because what we struggle with in this lifetime is been documented in our past lifetimes through that book, Astrology for the Soul. So really diving into our past lives tells us how we act in this life. It also tells us how we shouldn't act in this lifetime. It tells us what our attachments are and then what we shouldn't be attached to. So, and I love that because it aligns with my intentions from this weekend's meditation. So I am a witness to what's happening. Witness. That means I don't need to do anything, buy anything, be anything. I can just be a witness to what is happening in this lifetime. Now, this is a hard intention. I give this as homework to a lot of my clients. Be the observer, be the witness to your own life, to your own thoughts, to your own experiences. Ask yourself, why am I feeling that way? Wayne Dyer writes a book, There's a Spiritual Solution for Every Problem, I think it's called, Spiritual Solution to Every Problem. And there is always an answer of why we are feeling this way. And it's not just a human experience. It's a spiritual experience. Diving into past lives when you're falling asleep is pretty cool because you get to take yourself to a different realm with a person. You can even try and bring someone. Okay, so let's say I want to bring my daughter with me as I travel to another realm. And I ask, how can we have a better relationship? We have a great relationship right now. But, when she went through teenage years, it was tough for both of us. But, she's always been my person. I've always been her person. And as a single mom for many years, we just were inseparable. So the teenage years were kind of hard because, the kids are supposed to pull away. They're not supposed to be your best friend. And unless you are emotionally balanced and mentally ready and physically ready, it's going to be a little tumultuous. So we've come back around, but let's say, she's going through her teenage stuff. Okay, this was a few years ago. And I would take her in my third eye. I'm laying on my pillow and I'm going into the other realm and I'm asking, what can I do to make our relationship better? What can I do differently in order to have a beautiful and wonderful relationship with this human? Instead of saying, she needs to change and she needs to try this, you go into the intention and the realm of, what do I need to do differently? What can I change about myself? What do I need to alter about my personality in order to make our relationship right, or feel good, or have fun, or whatever it is that you're missing in your relationship? Right now, I feel like it's just all about connection. We are missing that connection because, I have a phone, she has a phone, you have a phone, everybody has a phone, everybody has a connection to somebody else. But the people sometimes that we need connection to are right in front of us. And this is why when people pop into our lives, sometimes we have an aha or an awakening because we've seen them in a past life And now they're here in front of us. And now we're like, oh, wait a minute. I've met you in a past life. I feel this connection with you. What am I going to do with this connection? What am I going to do with these feelings? Well, what you would do is you go into your third eye when you're wide awake, about to go to sleep, and you go travel to your past life or to the different realm with that person. That person can be a friend, a lover, a brother, a sister. It doesn't matter because we all come in different forms in different lifetimes. So a lot of connections that we have in this lifetime, in other lifetimes, we have reincarnated with them, but we've been maybe brother, sister, or we've been sister, sister. Or I know for a fact, Julia and I were swapped. We were swapped. She has been my mother before, and I have been her daughter before. And lots of different connections. And if you look up the book Love Cards, then it'll tell you within your relationship based on your birthday. That's by Robert Camp. What kind of connections you have with these people, whether it be a competitive relationship that's coming back in to really clear the karma in this lifetime, whether it's a loving relationship that's coming in that you need to feel out or be with, or maybe it's a connection that it got cut short in the past life because one of you died. Past lives really get me going. I love past lives. But okay, so going back to being unattached to, instead of being attached, we learn, right? So the mantra, one of the weekend's mantras was, I am neutral. I am unattached. I am gracious and giving. I am in ease, flow, and freedom. I love that too, because in this life, sometimes I feel trapped. And I really have no reason to feel trapped. Do you ever feel like that? I mean, my husband calls me a unicorn and he has to leave the gate open. But so, yeah, that's a good joke, but it's also kind of real because I do feel trapped. I feel trapped if, I'm in the house too long. I feel trapped if people are telling me what to do too much. I feel trapped in relationships. So I like to visualize that I am the rainbow unicorn with the gate open. And that way, in my mind, when my mind tells me I'm feeling trapped or I'm feeling claustrophobic or I'm struggling with this human life right now, I do picture myself, as that rainbow unicorn with the gate open, and I can do whatever it is I want. I also can travel to a different realm and do whatever I want in that realm. And we have to be cautious of our thoughts and conscious of our thoughts and realize that our mind runs the show. And if we can learn to get out of our mind and out of our thoughts that are controlling us, then we literally can do anything we want to in this life whatsoever. Because we create the picture in our dreams, in our realms, with the connection with Mother Earth, and we allow that to then come in and fulfill us instead of holding us back into our limiting beliefs of, I have to make money this way. I have to stay with this person because of this. I have to talk to my kids and do this for them. I have to stay in this job and work. The mind has its own agenda. And so as a witness, we can witness our own mind and our own thoughts And then we can make changes based on those that we're observing and decide what is good for us now, what could be good for us in the future to add in to our lives, and what do we need to let go of. So in the North Node by Jan Spiller, she said, my number one, I'm a Scorpio North Node. I know everybody's scared of Scorpios, but, just my North Node, not my sun sign. But Scorpios are very psychic, which is awesome, right? But they also have a tail and they sting. And they also can travel to different realms very easily, which is why I am your guide from the spiritual realms to the human experience. Because whenever I'm working out a human condition or a human experience, I immediately go to the spiritual place. So this morning I wanted to change the energy in the house quickly. So I sprayed my abundance spray and lit 2 incense sticks, one in the office, one in the main room. And in 5 minutes, just the smell of the aroma changed the energy of the house immediately. And then I was feeling a little tired and a little irritated because my travel realm last night ended up being like 2.5, 3 hours. I think it was still up at 12:30 or 1. And so I was a little irritated this morning, but then I also switched my attitude and said, well, I'm not irritated because when else do I have 2.5 hours to go astral travel and go to different realms and download information and learn stuff? Now, if I am not speaking your language right now, which I am, but downloading, channeling, receiving messages, all of that is the same language. And all of it depends on, can you give yourself a moment? 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, 2.5 hours. Can you give yourself a moment to channel and get the messages that are meant for you to receive from the other realms? One of the ways I really like to get and receive the messages when I don't have 20, 30, 45 minutes, an hour to go astral travel is to use a deck of cards. So I love The Shaman's Dream by Alberto Villoldo. I love this one. And Colette Baron Reed. I got to see her in person at the Hay House, Tampa. And so if you want a message, then cards are an easy way to get the message. So I'm going to pull a message for you right now that you need. Okay. And usually if you shuffle the cards, which you might hear me shuffling on the microphone, one of the cards will pop out. One of the cards will usually pop out. And if they don't, then I spread them and pull one card out. Okay. So see here, this one just popped out. Empty well. Time to replenish, which is so interesting because one of the mantras or intentions on the list is to be empty in order to receive all the gifts that the universe has to give you. Now, empty is a word that I really bring in and practice, being empty. Being empty of thoughts, being empty of ideas, being empty of other people's suggestions, being empty of social media, trying to be empty allows your body to really receive what you are meant to receive. If we're always planning and going and doing, then we're not empty. We're not allowing the energy to come in and fill us up. And what you'll find in your North Node is things that you have done in the past is usually the opposite of how you are in this lifetime. And that's why it's kind of a struggle. So I was a master builder. I'm always putting things together. That's why I can put a health plan together in about 5 minutes for you and start you from the foundation and go all the way to the top and set you on your way. And you'll be healthy. But in this lifetime, they said I have to slow it down, not be a master builder, and work at a much slower pace with you, which is so interesting because we want to be so fast and we want a quick fix, and I can provide that. But the book literally tells me not to do that, right? Because intuitively, when we get to the frequency of what the body needs, you will hear the message. So that is why I love to empower you to be your own healer. Because if you can take the time to download the right messages, you will hear what you need. All right, so let's go back to the empty well. It also says time to replenish. So let's move into the next part. Time to replenish. Okay, so what are we replenishing? We're replenishing vitamins and minerals, right? That's where you can use the hair sample. You're replenishing your energy. Where do we get the energy from, right? Where do we get the energy from? We get it from the earth, from the sun. We get energy from other people. We get energy by being by ourselves. We get energy channeled through other realms to us when we sit in silence or we meditate. We replenish through yoga classes or sound baths. So we need to replenish the things that we've put out. So if you've put out so much love and you don't get a lot of love in return, it's time to ask for love in return. And then your homework is to be empty. See, the empty well and the time to replenish, they go hand in hand. We can't really replenish if we're not empty. And if we're truly empty, then we can receive and get the gifts that we need from Mother Nature or Mother Earth or different spiritual realms, guides, angels, extraterrestrials, all of the above. All right, so now that you know I pull cards, I meditate, walk the dogs, work out, get my, don't forget your water and your supplements to drink. Let me take a sip. Take a sip of water if you have some near you, right? We want to replenish our well with supplements. So I drink a bone broth in the morning by Primal Tonics, and they are local, but they ship anywhere. So you can get your Primal Tonics bone broth, add a little bit of salt and 1 dash of cayenne, and it is magic. And then I do a kind of mid-morning or even lunch. I'll do a chocolate chai, which was a gift from my beautiful friend, Erin. And 0 calories for all of you watching calories. And my hair sample said, basically, I can eat no fat. It told my daughter to eat all fat and told me to eat no fat. But that's the difference between a fast metabolism and a slow metabolism, right? So she can eat, basically her list has everything that I can't eat. So I don't know how, I mean, she doesn't live in the house anymore, but seriously, how do you cook for the family if everybody eats something different, right? Because I love to cook. So do you cook 3 meals? That goes back to the thing with, you're not supposed to be cooking 3 meals for everybody. But if everybody's on a health journey, then it's easy to make adjustments. So we had pho yesterday, and my favorite place is Pho Kong. Love it. But so I didn't eat my noodles, and I asked for extra veggies, skip the cabbage, extra beef, spicy beef pho with no noodles, right? And then I took my noodles at night and made my own butter sauce, sauteed some pork, and added some chicken that I roasted. And so then my son had his own pho with the noodles. And obviously he does not like bok choy. So no bok choy for him. So there is a way to kind of make all the meals for everybody, just, kind of one big meal, and then you can take your meal out based on your metabolism. You can take your refined carb out, or you can add that meat in, and he can have pork, and I need beef. No pork for me because it's too fatty. All right. So then now we've got food. We're doing our supplements. We're drinking our water. We've got our bone broth. We've meditated. We've walked the dogs, right? What is there left to do to keep us truly healthy, connected to the frequency of what our body needs? This is my favorite. Heal yourself with ozone. Okay. Now, I've been on an ozone journey for, I think it's been maybe 6 months. Now, I'm losing track of time because I use it every day. I ozone my ears at least 5 days a week. I've done vaginal and rectal, sinus, up the nose, and in the ears. I like all of them. If you're working on mold or parasites or viruses, then, and you really want to do kind of a hardcore treatment, it would be rectal or vaginal. I do the ears because I'm working on memory, brain fog, keeping really sharp, and also when you fly, if you put ozone, all those viruses that are in the air go up the nose or in the ears. So I put ozone in my son's ears this morning before he went to school because he has a couple of friends with the flu, and they just can't stay home for forever. You got to get back to school. So put some ozone in their ears just for a couple minutes and send them off in their day. Come home, make them shower, get off the stuff, give them a couple more minutes of ozone in their ears to clear out the viruses. And then boom, you've got a health plan instead of a sick plan. And this, has been such a passion of mine, is how are we staying well these days, since we have to change the narrative, right? We have to change the narrative of how we are taking care of ourselves. Back in the day, we used to get sick. We would go to the doctor and we would get an antibiotic. Well, now there's all this research about how multiple antibiotics actually rewire the brain chemistry and make you a different person. Well, I don't want that for anyone. So I'm never getting an antibiotic unless I absolutely need one and I'm at the hospital. But as far as an ear infection, ozone. Sinus infection, ozone. Yeast infection, ozone. You got irritable bowel syndrome, ozone. You got stomach issues, ozone. You can have ozone in your house. And there's only 3 companies that really make the ozone generators. And I do promote one of them, Promo Life, and I'll drop my affiliate code in the link. I love them because they answer any question I want. They taught me everything. Their customer service is so nice. They have right now I'm doing suppositories. I'm doing olive oil suppositories to work on just keeping everything nice and flowing in the meditation this weekend. It's called rasa, but rasa is keeping your body juicy. And when we get older, we begin to get dry, and not just in the vaginal canal, everywhere. We get dry skin, our insides get dry. So this is why I like the ozone mixed with the intention, mixed with a supplement, right? So you can take care of yourself. I can ozone anywhere I want to keep my mitochondria and flood my body with oxygen to keep it healthy. I can do a suppository instead of an estrogen patch or some kind of hormone replacement therapy, which I don't enjoy. Then my mantra or my intention is that my body stays juicy. And I was laughing all weekend when they kept saying that, but it makes so much sense. Not only is it funny to think about, but that is what women need. We need to stay juicy. We need our rasa to be flowing. And so do the men, right? They get so stuck in their head that their other head doesn't work. So they need their bodies to get flowing and going. And they can also use ozone and suppositories and mantras. See, so it's not just for us weirdos out there. It is literally like your healthcare system. So my healthcare system is intentions, working on myself, meditating, working out, connecting with nature, pulling a card, doing ozone, drinking the ozone water. And can I tell you that I had like a 6-inch worm come out of me yesterday? I'm on my 3rd round of parasite zapping. If you haven't picked up the book, Hulda Clark, by Hulda Clark, it is amazing. And you can buy a zapper anywhere on eBay, and just get one in the United States so you don't have to deal with the tariff stuff. But I've been zapping. I've zapped 2 rounds of parasite and viruses. I haven't gotten any flu, any virus that's been around. Between ozone, the zapper, and supplements, and now I know exactly what to eat. Boy, better watch out. I better not ever be getting sick, because I've built a health plan that works for me. So, are you building a health plan that works for you? Are you connecting the spiritual and the human to really, really, really feel good? That is it. Feeling good. We want to feel good. We want to feel juicy. We want to have a lot of rasa. We want to have a lot of oxygen. We want to do all of that to feel good. So at this stage of the game, yes, I do private consults. And yes, you can come see me and try my brain machine, and you can come try my light machine, and you can come try my sauna, and I can gong for you, and I can put a health plan in for you. But what do you desire for you that you can see yourself doing every day? And have you taken the little baby steps that are life changing, that are game changing? The brain machine is a game changer for me. I'll have to talk about that next podcast. And I'll tell you what it's done for our family. The ozone is a game changer. So thankful for Dr. Charnel for bringing that into my life. She is on my other podcasts. She also has a following on TikTok and Facebook and anywhere you can find her. Dr. Charnel, we're lucky to have her up close and personal. But she's the one that told me how great ozone was. And now you just dive in. The books are out there. They hide the information, but you can find the books out there. All of the testimonials and the doctors that are using it all over the world, they're all printed in these books. So what mantra should we end on? Should we end on how to stay juicy? Or should we end on I'm in the flow? Yeah, let's do that one. I'm in the flow. Are you in the flow? If you're not in the flow, what do you need to let go of? And what can you accept and receive in your life right now? Do you need love? Do you need affection? Do you need attention? Do you need a new career path? Do you need a health plan? Do you need a wealth plan? Do you need an astrology reading? Do you need to connect with a mentor? What do you need? Ask yourself, what is it that you really need to feel good and to really bring in this new frequency, this new vibe into your life that becomes the norm? That becomes the norm. Connecting the spiritual to the human experience becomes the norm. It is for me. I can easily make it easy for you, and we can have fun doing it. So All right. Well, I have enjoyed this time with you. I love you for listening. Please rate the show and drop me a comment so I know you listened. And you can find me at awakenchange.com. I do private sessions. You can come in person. You can do it over the phone. We can Zoom. I can do a hair analysis. And we'll talk about the brain next time. But I am so grateful for you and so grateful for your time. And please share this with your friends too. Bye. Have a wonderful day. Bye.